I'm ready, Shaki. Wow, it's another beautiful Monday. Another beautiful Monday on your Monday tonic. Say it loud with Prince Evance. Good morning to you, Nigerians. Good morning to you, Himalayites. Good morning to you, everybody. Last week was beautiful. It was awesome. It was everything good I should talk about. I don't know about you. But I wouldn't forget to ask you if you observe all the rules, all the COVID rules. Stay a little apart from your neighbor. Put on your face mask. Wash your hands, sanitize. And you'll be safe from COVID. Well, that's it. Once more, you're welcome to Say It Loud with Prince Evance on Xander's FM 105.7. Today, we shall be doing part 2 of a topic we jolly well started last week. And once more, that is how Nigeria tribes can live together in peace. This topic is becoming very worrisome. And then we started last week. Now this week, we're continuing with the same topic, how Nigerian tribes can live together in peace. And to do justice to this topic today is a fine gentleman, a teacher by Salon, a jolly good fellow, Professor Jachimike Adele. Professor Jachimike Adele is a professor of educational administration and planning. He once taught at the Abia State University, and he was also a one-time mayor of Owerri. And I won't forget to tell you that Prof is a fellow of Commonwealth Academy of Education. Wow. Fellow of Commonwealth Academy of Education, FCAE. Prof, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Prince, and good morning, listeners.
Beautiful. How are you, Prof?
I'm fine. I'm doing very well. I'm COVID-free. I'm taking all the cautions and precautions, and I thank God that we have survived thus far.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure you sanitize your hand before you came in here.
It's very important to do that all the time. We really have to ensure that COVID-19 is defeated.
And surely it will be defeated.
Man.
Very surely it will be defeated, Prof. I bet you that. Well, once more, I welcome you to Xander's FM 105.7. Prof, you've had a topic. How can Nigerian tribes live together in peace? I'm not saying that's not going to be rancor, but without shooting, without killings, without all this brouhaha you hear everywhere.
Yeah, the way we can do it is to have social justice. And social justice, as I'm sure you know, is based on the principle of freedom. And everybody's free, and everybody has their natural rights that must be respected. Everybody has human worth and dignity and must be considered when you're undertaking any action. Quite unfortunately for us, though, Nigeria was not well planted, if you permit that expression, right from the beginning. Nigeria is a fraud by Lord Lugard and the British. A fraud in the sense that Nigeria was put together for the convenience of the British. It's on record that Lord Lugard said he's putting Nigeria together so that one section of the country will pay for another section of the country, not in the interest of the peoples of Nigeria, but in the interest of the British Empire as it was at that time. And quite unfortunately, we've not been able to get ourselves out of this bastion of illegality and injustice that was put on us by the colonial master. We've continued with it all the time. And until we do something about it, until we realize that unless you get back to the fundamentals, give people their right to associate, right to choose what is good for them and what is not good for them, it will not work. We are going to continue to have rancor. One set of people will continue to take advantage of another set of people. One class of persons will continue to take advantage of another class of persons, and so on and so forth. And that's why today Nigeria, that concept of Nigeria is unraveling, and everybody's putting its existence to question, quite unfortunately.
Okay, now, Prof, I ask you a question. At the time, the Roman Empire ran the world. And then after the Roman Empire, you had Turks, you had different empires that have come and have also gone. Now, Roman Empire today became many countries of the present Europe.
Yeah.
You know, especially the present Southwest Europe, you know, balkanized into countries. Now, the question I'm putting forward to you is, can you think of one or two other countries that just came, that just evolved on their own without a power putting them together? For instance, you can see Britain is a union of nations.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So, what is wrong with somebody, you know, putting up a country, a group of nations together to become one nation?
No, basically, that's nothing wrong with it. But in this case, in the case of Nigeria, it was not in the interest of the people. In the example that you have given, for example, the British, of their own, agreed to become subjects. Okay, because they all, it's a monarchy. Okay, and they came together in what we now know as the United Kingdom. That's right. It's free. And even today, Scotland is trying to move away. Okay, there are several referendums going on, and Scotland wants to pull away. This is the freedom of the people. They're free to do that, and as long as the majority of the people want that, that is what is going to happen. There has never been a place where people are put together by force that existed. If you in the late 80s, for example, Glasnost and Perestroika destroyed the Soviet Union. The same thing happened in Yugoslavia. And that is what is going to happen in Nigeria if we're ever going to ever have progress. The different peoples of Nigeria will choose for themselves how to associate one with the other. If we do not do that and do it freely through a referendum, and in fact through a national conference that has to question the basic existence of this country, Nigerians have never been given the opportunity to determine how they want to live with each other. Nigeria is made up of 280-something different sets of people with different cultures, different values. And every nation is built on values, on shared values. Now, these values have not been determined, they've not been processed in a way that will be acceptable to everybody. And as long as that does not happen, we're not going to have peace in this country because it's unjust. And the worst of all of this is the 1999 Constitution. It's a constitution that was put onto the country by a group of military people for selfish reasons.
Okay, sorry to interject you. Before you go to 1999, we are talking about how Nigerian tribes can live together in peace. Though you've painted a good scenario, a good preamble into our existence, into our coming together. Yeah. We cannot talk about Nigeria without talking about, of course, the British and Lord Lugard. Yes. You know, who did this, and that was a very good preamble you did. But somehow too, this wasn't the only country that the British put together. I also do know that they did put India. They brought India. At the time, Pakistan was part of it, and later on Pakistan broke away. And India is is a very huge country. The population running into 1 billion people right now. So if India, of that population, that size and magnitude, can live together, we're not saying they may have their internal crisis too, but not unheard of like Nigeria. So what stops us from, you know, living together with just less than 200 million people?
Well, we haven't done what India did. If you remember that the Indian Revolution, if you remember the life of Mahatma Gandhi,
yes, Mahatma Gandhi,
there was a new order in which Indians themselves decided how to live. And it had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the British. And let's come back to West Africa, Ghana. Ghana is also made up of different sets of people. And the same thing that was going on in Nigeria was going on in Ghana. Those that were put there by the British became very corrupt, because their system was based on a trade system put in by British and British interests. It took a Jerry Rawlings to destroy that system for the benefit of Ghanaians. And then Ghanaians bought into that project and stabilized their country. Now Ghana is doing very well in every facet of life, in industry, in politics, in religion, whatever you say. So until Nigerians take it upon themselves to evolve a system for ourselves, we're not going to have peace. And the only thing that can satisfy that is a restructuring of this country so that we can make the sort of progress that we used to make before the war. Eastern Nigeria, for example, had trade attaches in our High Commission and in our embassies. Okay? They not had their own, and people were growing according to their own means and according to their own devices. Okay? They were building universities, setting up factories, setting up commercial houses, setting up banks, setting up secondary schools. And things were working and people were moving according to their own natural endowments. Now, what is happening is that we're taking from a part of the country and spreading it too thin and concentrating too much power at the center. It's not going to work. The center is a lot of weight on the country.
Okay, is this the reason why the tribes can't live together? You mentioned restructuring, and I'm sure from restructuring, if I go further into planning into that, you're going to talk about national conference.
Oh, sure. We would need a deep national.
But you had one in 2014.
Well, based on a system that is already running, and you can't build on nothing. You can't build on sand. You can't build a skyscraper on sand. Okay. Let me make myself clear. I want to be a Nigerian. Nothing is sweeter than being an. In fact, I wish I could become a West African.
Okay.
Have the whole of West Africa as one nation. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being a Nigerian. Okay. But I don't want to be a Nigerian who is not free, whose interests have not been taken into account in making up Nigeria, in making up the constitution, in running the country. No. The moment you begin to do that, I begin to see myself first as an Owerri man, as an Imo man, as an Igbo man, as a Southeasterner, before I see myself as a Nigerian. And I think that's what's going on in the minds of the 250 million plus Nigerians. That's why the center cannot hold. So we must find a way of ensuring that all our interests are brought together and protected.
Then how do we come about this way? Because I did ask you if you were proposing a sort of national conference, which we had originally, and then I also do know that since the independence of our country, Nigeria, we have not been able to organize a successful conference. We've not been able to do a proper restructuring. I'm talking about the civilians now. The states that were created by military. Most of the constitution you have, including 1999 constitution that you're going to talk about, were all made by the military. So how possible do you think, how possible is it for the civilians, to sit together and work out an acceptable conference, bearing in mind that the conferences that took place, never held sway?
Well, the conferences that took place were not sovereign. That's why they can't work. The first thing to do is to accept that Nigeria is a mistake. I'm sorry to say. Nigeria, as present, the constitution is a mistake. It's not fair. It's not just.
What would you have preferred if you were not to use the word mistake?
I don't know what the word to use. It's basic mistake, and we're seeing the effects. So if we accept that it was a mistake, or if we accept that it was not done in our interest, at least, even if we don't say it's a mistake, it was not done with our interest at heart, then we must ask ourselves, what is our interest? What is the interest of an Igbo man in Nigeria? What is the interest of the Efik man in Nigeria?
Hausa man,
Fulani, and how can we put all these interests together? You cannot put this interest together unless you shape the very foundation of Nigeria by having a sovereign national conference. And that sovereign national conference will, of course, be targeted at restructuring this country in a way that gives everybody their individual freedom, so that they can freely subscribe to the concept of Nigeria.
Now, who institutes this conference? Because you already have a National Assembly in place.
Well, the National Assembly will have to put itself to question. I know it's a very difficult thing to do, but if we don't do this, then we'll have to accept the consequence in the future, and that consequence will be crisis. there's no doubt at all that by all social indices, Nigeria is heading towards a crisis. Maybe in the next 5 years, maybe in the next 10 years.
Oh, well, we don't want to predict crisis, as a matter of fact, because you did say, if you ask, you prefer to remain in Nigeria.
For sure.
Yes, you did say so.
Yes.
But your worry is that things are not really working out the way you should. Well, you listeners at home, you are still on to Say It Loud with Prince Evance on Zanders 105.7 FM. You're reaching us also on Facebook, and later on we might be streaming you on YouTube and Instagram. Our topic is how Nigeria as a country, how Nigerian tribes can live together in peace. And my guest is Professor Jachimike Adiele, a professor of educational administration and planning. If you want to be part of this program, you want to call in, our phone number remains 081 606 36187. 081 606 36187. And please remember to be civil. Go straight to your point and don't tell us what you know. Hello, good morning. You're welcome to Zanders. What's your name?
Good morning. My name is Chief Fidel.
Chief, nice having you on the first caller today. How are you?
Okay, happy new week.
Happy New Week to you too.
Thank you. Good morning, bro.
Good morning, my brother. Bola.
Yes.
Did you hear the topic? Did you get the topic?
I got that topic very well.
All right, your contribution now.
And I want to say that in the past, Nigeria regarded themselves as members of one family, irrespective of tribal and the religious background.
That's right.
But it's no longer the same. But we can still get it right.
Okay.
If we use appropriate machinery to bind the people again. And what are these machinery? Sensitization, reorientation, making the people who feel know that they are members of the family, good governance, and so on and so forth. Once we shun tribalism and all these things that have divided us, and above all, we go back and have a constitution that we will call ourselves our own. Going back to the drawing board, having a constitution that we serve our purpose that suits the people and made by the people, this will be alright. And as Prof pointed out there, we must also have a forum where we discuss our problems, whether we call it a conference or whatever type of conference. But the most important thing is that whatever we decide, we allow it to be binding on us. That is the way I feel we can move forward. And that is my thinking. Thank you and God bless you. I'm Fidel Onyeneke.
Thank you, Chief Fidel Onyeneke. Thank you for calling in. Feel free to call back again. Prof,
Yeah.
Fidel did not sound very different from your opinion, but let's take two calls so that you can respond. Hello, good morning and welcome to Zanders FM. What's your name?
Good morning. My name is Chibuzo.
Your name is Chibuzo. Chibuzo is calling from where? Teklo. Chibuzo, how are you?
I'm fine.
All right, what's your opinion?
Okay. My opinion is the only way Nigeria can move forward is through discussion.
Through?
Because the incident that happened today yes, they look like stuff at least about the stuff. So my own is that the only way is to restructure Nigeria. That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. He's talking about restructuring of the country. Everybody's talking about restructuring. Well, definitely we will get it right. Hello, good morning and welcome to Zanders FM. What's your name?
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
I'm Chukuma. I'm calling from Freedom Town. Freedom Square.
Okay, Chukuma from Freedom Square. You're welcome.
Thank you. I have been listening to your topic.
Okay.
And it's very, very, very interesting.
Okay.
that my take on that is this. One thing we have done is one thing we have done to understand is that these white people, these are colonial masters, we are humans too. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
All I can say is that they did us good, and as a result of their human nature, they also did us bad.
Okay.
But now, trying to invite the kind of advice from the Holy Book, which is the Bible. You understand? The issue is we understand that we're humans, and from what we have read from the Bible, it claims that we can turn a new leaf, change our perspective, our mindset, and have a common goal. You understand what I'm saying?
Go on.
Let's not give blame on anybody now, but it's a clarion call for every Nigerian to turn a new leaf. Let's do something collectively to achieve a common goal.
All right. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Welcome.
Feel free to call back again, okay?
All right.
Thank you. Wow. Well, you heard what the contributor said. They're not dancing away from your opinion. Chief Oyeneke did talk about having good governance, sovereign national conference, and all that. And of course, this were your opinions also.
Yeah.
But now talking about sovereign national conference or sovereign conference or whatever conference, I asked you originally, who institutes this and how it's going to be?
Well, we have something that looks like a democracy, and we can start from there because we can't start from nothing. So we can start from the National Assembly, for example. If they are true patriots, if they really have the interest of this country at heart,
Yes.
they could, with the same speed that they determine their allowances, their wardrobe allowances, their car allowances, and all. They can, with the same speed, if they believe strongly that Nigeria needs to be liberated from the shackles of the colonial masters' tendencies, they could institute a process that would lead us to a conference, even if they don't want to call it a sovereign national conference, but at least let it be a conference that goes to the heart of the matter. And what is the heart of the matter? How do we protect the individual freedoms and worth of every single Nigerian? If you start with that, then you begin to, how do you now protect the rights of the family, then the kindred, then the village, then the state, then the whole federation? How can we structure ourselves so that at each level we are working well as individuals, free individuals who are willing to be part of this country, who are freely willing to be part of this country. Okay? Units of people, call them tribe, call them people, call them whatever, who are free and are willing to subscribe to the idea of Nigeria.
Do you subscribe to having a sort of referendum to determine whether we should have a conference?
Oh yeah, the referendum has already been done, some of it by default, through the history of Nigeria. When we're going for independence, for example, they're not saying that they don't want independence and that they want to be on their own.
Yeah.
Just before the war, they're not saying they were pulling out. The West said they were pulling out. But the foreign masters came again and put pressure on Nigeria and asked everybody to be. Indeed, if you remember very well, in Aburi, the leaders of Nigeria had decided that we're going to become a confederation of states.
That's right.
But the foreign masters came again and said, no, you can't. So the thing is, how do we break away from this influence of foreigners who are acting at every instance for their own good and not for our own good? Now, I agree with Chief Oyeneke who called in. First thing to do is to have good governance. Even with the travesty that we have, we can have good governance. And we have seen good governance going on in Cross River State, in Enugu State, in Kwara State,
In Ebonyi State.
in Ebonyi State, in Anambra State, in Bauchi State, in Yobe. Okay, even with what we are, people are happy. So if people are happy, if they are delivering, if people who are in charge are delivering, if members of the National Assembly are truly doing their work of regulating our lives, it will be a starting point. And by the time people, let me give you an example. A few years back, when Mr. Fashola was governor of Lagos State, you will remember, Lagosians on their own began to pay rents.
That's right.
Began to pay rates on their own, freely, because all over Lagos, the effect of governance was being, the
Yes.
positive effect of governance was being felt, and Lagosians now started feeling that their interests had been taken at heart. So they freely started paying their taxes and cooperating with government. So if people who are already in position will begin to act in our interest, the other people will follow. And the jollity, the bon vivre that will come with it will put us in a better position to say, okay, let's do this, let me give this, or let me take that, and then we will move on. It's going to take a long time, but that process must start.
Now that process must start, and definitely, I agree with you. But when will this process actually start? You've mentioned some states that are probably running well, and I was counting. You mentioned about 6-7 states
Yes.
that are doing fairly well.
Yes.
By Nigerian standard.
Yes.
But then the question remains: even within those states, you still have rancors, you still have problems. You mentioned Ghana earlier on, how Jerry Rawlings came on board and decided to carry out a revolution. Definitely, Jerry Rawlings himself said he wasn't prescribing that for Nigeria, because he said it is possible it might not work in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a whole larger tribe nation than Ghana is. Because come to think of it, what if he had failed on the process?
Yeah, that would have been quite unfortunate. But let me also say
So
this.
you say it.
Let me say this.
Yes.
Nigeria is not larger or more diverse than India.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay. And the Pakistani and India finally decided to go their separate ways. And many other states in India decided to stay together. The important thing there is it was their choice.
Okay.
It was by them. And it was in their own interests. That's why you see India is stable, economically, socially, politically. And there will always be rancor. It's a human nature. But we haven't done that here, and we need to do that.
But I'm also worried that the way Nigeria is configured right now, Oyenike was referring us to before 1966 and before 1967, when we had 4 regions.
Yes.
That was the East, West, the Midwest, and the North. And the center was a little loose.
Yes.
The regions held the power and paid to the center.
Yes.
And that was why they had trade and economic zones, or whatever you call it, Commonwealth.
Yes.
Now we are 6 geopolitical zones. And even among the geopolitical zones, there are still rancors. Some feel they should not be where they are. Some feel where they are is not where they should be. So if you have to talk about restructuring, how do you start this restructuring? This sounds too ambiguous.
No, it definitely is not. We have there are, first of all, natural boundaries of language, boundaries of culture, boundaries of affinity. Okay, that are already working. The North, when they say the North, is because practically everybody after Nsoka, north of Nsoka, speaks Hausa. So you see that affinity and that binding. Okay, you come within that particular North, as it were, you find other smaller groups of people and interests to be protected, and it's showing. For example, most people in Benue and Plateau have strong cultural aversions to dominance by the rest of the North. So you take that into account. That's the way to do it, holistically, but from smaller structures, and you build until you find interests that can bind themselves together naturally. And that's now what you bring to the center. Let me tell you, we say we're a federal government. We're a unitary state. There's nothing about Nigeria that shows true federalism. Because in a true federalism, if I may use this example, look at a state like California. California in the United States is bigger than Nigeria in size. Okay?
Yeah, right.
But California has only 2 senators. Delaware is smaller than Owerri zone. It has 2 senators. So do you see the equity there? And when you come to where decisions are taken, there's equal representation. Okay? And because there's equal representation, you have to subscribe equally to the center. And subscribing equally to the center means this: you have to pay taxes. Now, if what it requires for you to be a state at the center is $1, $1 will be paid by the millions of people in California, for example. So they don't need a lot of taxes per individual. Now, if there are only 10 persons in Delaware, for example, those 10 persons must raise the $1 in order to become a state. But this is not the case in Nigeria. The case in Nigeria is that all the things, including taxes, unfortunately, including taxes and all other revenues, will go to the center, and then the center begin to decide what to give to people. You can see that this is autocracy.
Okay. By your opinion and view, you believe the main problem is with the center. That once power, devolves from the center down, to the states or to the region or geopolitical zone or whatever you call it, at least a reasonable parts of the problem would have been solved.
Of course, it would. And let me give you an example in Nigeria. If you said you want to be a state in Nigeria, let us say the annual budget is 1 million naira, and for you to be a state, you have to contribute your own bit. No, just for teaching's sake, we say that. Now, somebody in Bayelsa will quickly bring it up and pay. Okay, if you divide Bayelsa into 10, they will find that money and pay. So you have 10 states in Bayelsa. This is not the truth for a state like Kebbi. You may find that Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, Niger may not be able to subscribe because they don't have the resources. So even with all that large land area, they may just end up being only one state. Therefore, there will only be 2 persons from that large area coming to the center. Now, this is equity. And this is what Nigerians are afraid of.
Now, you see this as equity.
It is.
But by Nigerian standard, those people will not see it as equity.
Well, those Nigerian standards are not standards of justice and equity. That's why it's not working. You cannot both of us, now, Prince, you and I are going to a club, and then you bring 50 kobo, and I bring 50 naira, and you bring the rice, and you want both of us to share equal rice. Is that fair?
Well, it is not to me to say it is fair or it's not fair.
You have to say, you have to be on one side of this. It's just not fair. And sir, that is the problem that we have. That we have people who do not have the natural resources, who do not have the natural tendencies, trying to be in power and control those who have.
No, but I tell you something. You don't have to have natural resources to be able to have a say or control or what, all that. Because going away from Nigeria, some countries don't even have natural resources. Like Japan does not have any natural resource or substance that you can talk about, but they do have human resource.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So when you say some states that don't have this,
no, I said they don't have natural or other resources,
but
including human resources.
Resources does not limit to crude oil and gas.
Of course not.
In the north, you have resources. You have lignite, you have gold, you have precious stones, you have some of these other things. Even in the states you have mentioned.
We are on the same page. Now let's see how this works. If I may use the example I've been using, if the people in Bayelsa now decide that they're overlords because they have oil, for example, we say, okay, fine, I'm from Kebbi State. Okay, so you get your oil money, and I tell you that just one bulb of onion is 1,000 naira.
Oh, that's agriculture.
Good.
That's
so now you see the equity I'm talking about.
Okay.
So you bring what you have to the table, I bring what I have to the table. We get the fair value for it, and on the basis of that, we associate.
Okay. Let's go back to our listeners, our listening audience. You're still on to Zanders FM 105.7 and the program remains Say It Loud. Our topic is how Nigerian tribes can live together in peace. And then my discussant has been the revered Professor Adiele Jachimike, a professor of educational administration and planning. If you want to call in, feel free to call in 081 606 36187. 081 606 36187. So, Prof, before we get into the second batch of callers in, let me still ask you one more question now. Last week or 2 weeks ago in Kaduna,
Yeah.
Kaduna State of Nigeria,
Yeah.
there was crisis there.
Yes.
You're aware of that?
Yes.
Now, they all speak Hausa language.
Yes, they do.
Though I know they speak also their native languages there,
Yeah.
you know. And then you were talking about some of the root causes of that crisis, like we were meant to believe, was that some people arrived to occupy a certain part of southern Kaduna. And later on, that they claimed, they didn't just come to claim ownership, but to lord it over the other people that were believed to have harbored them or brought them into the system. Now, the question here is, because we're talking about how the tribes can live together. We all came from somewhere.
Mm.
We didn't evolve from the soil. We all came from somewhere. How come we cannot accommodate, each other, irrespective of when you came? Because our constitution also enshrined it that once you have lived in a particular part of the country for a particular number of years, you become part and parcel of that community.
Yes, but that has a rider. If you live in a place and you pay your taxes, and you have business, and you are occupying, wherever you're occupying, you're rightfully occupying there. Of course, you're a citizen of that place. Okay? But is that the truth? Do Igbo people kind of feel that they're citizens of Kano? Those who are born there, pay taxes there, do business there, are they made to feel that they're from there? Is it the same for the Yoruba man in a way, for example, made to feel that he's an Ore man? These are the basic issues. And it gets us back to why we were coming from. That if we had good governance, for example, if we had a stable society, and each individual, I keep stressing individual, each individual person feels that his matter is being handled well at all times, then it would not matter where you come from or where you decide to live. It wouldn't, either for you or for those that you come to meet. But as long as people, groups of people, see themselves as being antagonized in any way, either by the center, either by laws that are made, either by exclusion, then when you go to anywhere, you are not going to feel that you're part of that. You take Enugu, for example, before the war. An Hausa man was mayor of Enugu.
Oh, yes.
Port Harcourt. An Igbo man was mayor of Port Harcourt. Up to today, Lion Iboke's father was in Enugu, and a street, a very important street, was named after him. That was how Nigeria was. That was the dream of Nigerians in getting independence. That was the dream. But unfortunately, they did not count on the fact that that was not the dream of our colonial masters. Our colonial masters, just like the French did in Francophone Africa, planted systems that will ensure that we do not become united against their own interests. So the reasonable thing to do by Nigerians is to come upon this realization and ask ourselves, so what do we do? How do we get ourselves out of these shackles and become true Nigerians? Prince, I want to be a Nigerian. I feel very proud. I feel so free that I can travel thousands of kilometers without looking for a visa or without passing any boundary. It's so nice to have my friends who are Hausa Fulani. I have lots of friends who are Hausa Fulani and all that I want to visit. Not so long ago, I went to Dusselma in Katsina State to see a friend. And it's such a nice thing. But you know that you don't feel very free in the country.
Prof, would you mind? Can we pick this call?
Of course, we need that call.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Xanders. What's your name? Good morning. Are you there? All right.
Okay, looks like we've lost the call.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is what the crux of the matter is. We can live together in harmony. There's no doubt about it.
Something tells me from all you've said and from the perception of too many other Nigerians that poverty contributes to much of this problem.
Yes,
because people are easily used as tools.
Yes, this institutional poverty. It's institutional poverty.
Okay, hello, good morning and welcome to Xanders. Your name is what? Hello?
Hmm.
That must be a very little person.
Yeah, really. I wish we would hear what that little fella has to
Honestly.
say.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes. So I was saying that poverty could also be part of this problem.
Yes.
You know, because the poor mind is easily used.
Yes.
You know, as a tool.
Yes.
So when you talk about restructuring and all this, even if you restructure and there's poverty, you know, the problem would
Now,
continue
let me tell
to
you
multiply.
something. Yes, it would. But let me tell you one thing about this. If you restructure and there's poverty, maybe we should just take that call.
Yes. Hello, good morning and welcome to Zanders. Hello, good morning. Hello.
No.
Hello, good morning.
No.
Good morning. Can you hear me? I'm hearing you well.
No.
All right. Oh, okay. It's not ready to talk.
Yeah, so as I was saying, there will be poverty. There will always be poverty. There will always be poor people. But you know that as much as possible, democracy wants the state to be egalitarian. What that means is it's giving everybody the chance to make it freely. So even if somebody does not become wealthy, he doesn't blame any other person. He knows his own circumstances, his own ability.
Yes.
That is justice, and that can bring stability. So we can, in redistributing power also, we can, if you will, redistribute the poverty.
Redistribute the poverty.
Yes.
Hello, you're welcome to Zanders. What's your name? Hello? Wow, what a day. Maybe it's network.
Yeah.
Hello? Yeah.
Hello.
You're welcome. What's your name? Your name is what? This little person. What is your name? Okay, I'm sure you're playing with your daddy's phone. This program is for dad. This is for adults. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nnamdi Odemuche, calling from BC.
Nani, you're welcome.
Thank you. I love the program and I want to appreciate the fact.
Okay.
Please don't be offended. I want to go a little bit contrary to what you said.
You're free, as long as you're not abusive to anybody.
All right. Saying about Nigeria's unity and tribes coming together, see themselves as one, the one United Nation, Nigeria.
Yeah.
I see it as running after illusion fantasy. I was not born when Nigeria was created.
Okay.
And ever since I grew up, I've come to sense of reasoning, you know, how things has been then, stories and histories of Nigeria then, comparing to what is happening now. And seeing, you know, Nigeria coming together as one family is something that cannot be realizable. Are you getting my point?
Go on.
Because there are some people who believe that Nigeria solely belongs to them, and the others should be a subsidiary. And it has been a principle to them, and it has been documented inside them that they cannot change it. Are you getting me?
Okay.
So I think the area we tell ourselves to think about this country is better for us and our younger ones coming after us. Keep on telling ourselves we must be one Nigeria, we should be one Nigeria. I think it's just deceiving ourselves and the generation coming after us.
Now, what is your suggestion? What if tomorrow you become the governor or the state and then or the president of this country? What would you do differently?
In this situation, there has been several consensus, several conferences held in this country on how to bring Nigeria as one. Because there are some part that has totally refused. Even the call for the structure has been clamored for quite a long time, but they haven't given any asset. So I think the best thing is for every region to sit down, tell themselves the truth. Please, enough is enough. Let us find a better way of settling down on our own and address ourselves. Move on with our lives as a people than joining everybody together whereby there will be understanding, there will be that other relationship. Are you getting me?
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Feel free to call in next week.
All right.
Prof.
Yeah, I don't think he differs from us, really.
Yes, he differs. No, I don't think he differs from you.
No, I don't think he did. Yeah, because what he's saying is that there are concentrations of interest in the regions.
Yes.
And that all we need to do is ensure that everybody in this region feels free and happy to be in Nigeria. And then with good governance, we can. I believe very strongly that with a few adjustments here and there, and the realization of our positions as those who are conquered by the British, and with a wish to reverse this, that we can exist happily together as Nigerians, it's possible. But it will not work in the way that we are now. We have to restructure. We have to think differently.
Okay, let's take the last call for today.
All right.
Because our time is running out.
All right.
Hello, good morning and welcome. What's your name? Are you still there? Good morning. Okay, I don't think we'll be able to take another call. That will be the last. Okay, he's still back. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sanders.
Good morning. You are the last caller today. Go straight to your point.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Mr. Gucci Opera calling from Ezrobodo.
Thank you.
You see, yeah, the unity of this country, some people say it's unnegotiable, but I disagree with them. Nigeria is negotiable.
Oh, yes.
Because based on self-evident truth in what is happening in Nigeria today, let us tell ourselves the truth. The government are not helping matters. Take example, security. All these religious killings in every part of the country. What is happening? Is that how a country will be united and answer a nation? I think the other caller before me, I totally agree with him. You see, my own suggestion is, in fact, if I say it, you may look at it as being too radical. Nigeria should be divided. Let us go on our own way, because what is happening, if you say that, they will say, do you have evidence to prove? The government are not helping issues. Look at the security is not working. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I got you. Feel free to call in next week. Well, that's the last caller for today, and back to my revered guest, Professor Ajere. You've heard your callers, you've heard their own opinion.
Yes.
But then, I still can feel that we can patch this country and get something out of it.
Yes.
Prof, you've been a teacher,
Yes.
an outstanding one for that matter.
Thank you.
And you rose to become a professor.
Thank you, sir.
Now, in the schools where you taught, you have different students coming from very different backgrounds,
Yes.
and you're able to manage them.
Exactly.
So if you were the president of this country, which is not impossible because you have all it takes to be,
Thank you.
what would you do? What would you do to make sure that this house does not divide?
I would make an executive order, send it to the National Assembly, and ask members of the National Assembly to quickly devise a means for Nigerians to make themselves known and to articulate the way forward. And then we pass it on. We pass it on to the people, okay? And get a new structure for this country that will work. Because it is very clear that what is going on in this country is that the same way that the British protected their own interests, they've handed over that interest to an elite group of Nigerians who are protecting their interests. And those people have, through the years and through the military, developed a new crop of leaders. And these leaders divide themselves into political parties, but they don't ever have the interests of the masses at heart. When they take over, what they want to do is to maintain the status quo, be in power, be in charge of resources, and use them the way they want. As long as this goes on, Nigerians are poor, and poverty is one of the ways of keeping the people down. We don't have good governance. So I will do something that will make the voice of the Nigerian peasants heard. How do Igbo people want to be in Nigeria? How does the Kalabari man want to be in Nigeria? How does the man from Andelewaji want to be in Nigeria? How does the Fulani man want to be in Nigeria? Individually. I will bring all these things together and form a new Nigeria in which all of us will be free, and hopefully, with God helping us, all of us will be happy.
Well, that's beautiful. To do a recap of some of your points,
Yes.
you did talk about social justice based on principle of equity,
Equity
and fairness.
and fairness.
Yes, you talked about restructuring of the country,
Yes, sir.
and then if you had your way, you say you would probably prefer a national conference or make a bill if you're in a position to the existing National Assembly to be able to do something. And you talked about good governance. You also did mention that if there is fairness where people are treated equally, irrespective of their language, irrespective of their tribe, that Nigeria would work.
Yes.
Okay. Prof, you've been wonderful. And it's been nice having you.
Thank you. My
and
pleasure.
I always want to have you again.
Please
Do oblige me when I call you to come back.
I will.
My guest has been Professor Adele Jachimike, Professor of Educational Administration and Planning, the one-time Mayor of Owerri, a Fellow of Commonwealth Academy of Education, FCAE. He has been a wonderful guest, and you have been a wonderful listener, and all of you that called in today, next week, don't forget to call in, and God bless you. I remain yours sincerely, Prince Evance. Stay tuned to Xander's FM 105.7 FM.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Thank you. Nice having you.
Anytime. Like I was saying.
Okay.